Hey, welcome to the show. Real quick, this whole episode is with Marc Bakos from Cleanfeed, and you're going to hear all about Cleanfeed and everything. But I did want to mention, because when I was listening to this and editing it and mixing it, I realized I really sound like a fanboy of Cleanfeed, and I've used it a few times, and it's pretty good. But I have to tell you that about a week after I recorded this interview with Marc, I was using Cleanfeed with Alan Tepper, or it was his Cleanfeed account, and I was appearing with him on his show, and apparently while we were recording, everything sounded okay, but afterwards, Alan sent me an email and said, hey, the audio that he got that was recorded with Cleanfeed had all kinds of clicks in it, and also it was pitched down. So my voice was like pitched down, or was it pitched up? I can't remember. The pitch was changed, and it was had a bunch of glitches and stuff. And so he asked me, he said, hey, Alan asked me, can you send me your local file? So I just want to mention, because on this episode you're about to hear, I stated several times that I've used Cleanfeed a bunch of times, and I've never even heard one glitch. But I did want to, in all fairness and openness, just tell you that, nothing's perfect and that kind of thing. So anyway, it's a great interview with Marc. I hope you enjoy it. And we talk about a lot of, podcast engineering things, besides just talking about Cleanfeed. So, all right, enjoy it. I'm psyched to find out all about Cleanfeed and talk to you about that. And also,
amazing.
I heard your appearance on Alan Tepper's show, and I actually... So I had to make notes of what you guys talked about, so I didn't just ask all the same questions.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I mean, some of the questions are probably relevant anyway. I don't know how much cross-pollination you guys have between podcasts.
Yeah, no, there's no... Yeah, it's we can talk about... We're going to have to talk about a lot of the same stuff because it's really important. And, yeah, and me and Alan are friends, and it's all good. Like, the more we learn about it, the better.
Fantastic.
So... Let me, so we're using Cleanfeed now, but I didn't hit record, and that's the reason I didn't, normally when we start the show, I'll play music and I'll do my intro, and I'm going to do that in a second, but what I wanted to ask you is, since we're going to be talking about Cleanfeed, and first I'm going to ask you to just tell us what Cleanfeed is, but if I press record in Cleanfeed right now, will I be able to sort of go through the different setting menus and see stuff while we're recording, or is that yes?
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, nothing gets locked down. In fact, the record functionality even allows you to create another record module, even if you wanted to. So, everything's modular in that way. So, make a record module, give it a name, set it to record, and then we can still continue using the interface.
Okay, so if I hit record in Cleanfeed, which I'm going to do right now, then we can go look at any settings. But what if I happen to want to change a setting? Can I change it on the fly as well?
No.
Okay.
But I'm assuming we're still... So if you click on the audio tab at the top...
Yeah.
We're in speech optimized, I would have thought.
Well, actually, I didn't adjust any settings, and we're actually not recording in Cleanfeed yet, but I am recording in Audio Hijack, so because I wanted to capture all this, right? This is important.
Sure.
Right now, it's on Music Optimized.
Oh, Music Optimized. Okay, so we're basically... So if I pan myself to the left, you've got me on the left?
Yes,
and then right. Perfect. Okay, cool. So... Okay, so we're both kind of using mixers, so that's good.
The only thing is, I'm recording in Audio Hijack, I'm recording Google Chrome actually in mono.
Okay.
So anyway, the listeners aren't going to be able to hear that you just panned left and right.
Panned it left and right.
But it did sound left and right.
You heard it in your ears, so that's a good sign. Okay, awesome. Okay, but we can go through some of the features. Some of the features you won't be able to change on the fly, only because for things like audio quality, it normally requires one of the parties to refresh their page for the settings to kick in. So
got it.
So the connection gets reestablished in that format. So
so let's do this. Let me have you tell us what Cleanfeed is briefly. Then let's go over the audio quality settings. Then we'll officially start the show, even though it already started. But I just want to do the intro, and we'll do a really abbreviated intro. Trust me. And then we'll get into. I have a lot of questions for you. So just tell us briefly, what is Cleanfeed?
So Cleanfeed allows anyone to connect in high quality over the internet and record their session using just the browser.
Awesome. And if a lot of listeners have been listening to this show for a while, they know that in the past I've used Zencastr, sometimes Ringer, sometimes Squadcast, and sometimes a couple others. There are a couple others, but like I said, Alan Tepper and Carrie Green use Cleanfeed. Alan Tepper just love. You should pay that guy, by the way he talks about Cleanfeed. Oh my God. So anyway, but
our biggest cheerleader.
Yeah, he's a big cheerleader for you guys. So now we're on the audio quality settings page, and I do want to just right off the bat, I want to tell all my listeners that the main difference between, like, let's say Zencastr and Ringer and Squadcast.
Yep.
The main difference between all those and Cleanfeed is that all of those actually record a local copy of each participant on the local participant's computer, and then upload it at some point. But
yes.
Cleanfeed does not do that. Cleanfeed only records it on my end because I'm the host running the session. Correct?
That's right. Yes. So the benefit, as you can hear, although I can't claim to have tried any of the others, but the audio quality that you're hearing me and I'm hearing you is pristine, and you're recording what you're hearing effectively. So yeah, it's a live, high quality link in the browser. There's no, low quality connection, and then at the end of the whole thing, you get to hear the full product. That kind of takes away from the magic of having high quality audio done live. So that's the major difference.
Yeah.
Between the systems.
I love that. We're going to talk about that. The question I have for you, and we're going to do it after we do the abbreviated intro. This is going to be funny, actually. Well, we want to do let's talk about the audio quality first. When I click on audio quality here, I get to choose. It says low quality. There's 5 options. Low quality talkback. The next one down is speech optimized. The next one down is music optimized. The next one down is 256 kbps mono. And then the last one at the bottom is 320 kbps stereo. Now, is it on? Obviously, it goes from low quality to high quality. Is that correct?
That's right. So the first 3 options up to music optimized are available in our free version. So anyone can use the first 3. And then the last 2 versions are the highest quality that the codec can support in the different modes. So mono and stereo.
Got it.
So yeah.
So for the 3 that people get for the free version, speech optimized is mono, I'm assuming?
Yes. So it's a mono connection, and we've picked a bit rate which we felt that was correct for the best speech optimized transfer of audio.
Yeah, quality
in
of
that
audio.
Case, yeah, exactly. So in this case, it would be 64 kilobits per second, which I think is what we tweaked the codec to be.
Okay.
And music, I think, is a bit higher at 96, if I'm not mistaken.
But
and
music is higher, but it's also stereo?
It's stereo, that's right. And then talkback is at the lower end, so it's a much more compressed bit rate, and it allows you to use Cleanfeed in a fairly high quality manner. You would be able to hear artifacts in the audio, but it allows you to use that over a 2G connection, I think is what we've tested it under. So it works pretty well, actually.
Oh, wow. 2G. Wow.
Yeah.
That 1997, I think?
Exactly. So really bad connection. Well, I say bad connection, a stable but yet low bandwidth connection.
So here's a question I need to ask right now. Speech optimized, which is probably what most people would use for just regular podcast recording, if you're not playing music live and if you don't need stereo live and all that. So for speech optimized, you said it's 64 kbps. Now,
that's right.
Are there other parameters of that 64 kbps quality that can enhance the quality or lower the quality? Meaning, or is 64 just 64, whether it's Zencastr, Ringer, or Cleanfeed?
I'm not going to comment about any other solution, but in ours, we've had to tweak the codec so that it's a constant bit rate. So the trouble you have with the codec we're using in the browser, which you've probably heard on Alan's podcast with our interview, was that it was 64K stream,
Right.
but it's actually constant. Whereas other platforms, we believe that may fluctuate up and down depending on the connection and the environment. But we feel that if the connection is good anyway, that bit rate remains constant. So there's no artifacts halfway through your interview or your broadcast. It's a constant stream.
Got it. Constant bit rate and
to the studio.
And the codec makes a big difference, I'm assuming. The quality of the codec.
Yeah, no, 100%. And the Opus codec is what we use. And that has been heavily modified anyway to ensure that anything over the web is done in low latency. And we remove every kind of filtering object, echo cancellation and, high pass filters and low pass filters that are used to ensure that how you're hearing me now is exactly, despite all my audio processing on the microphone, is how you're hearing me as if you were sort of in the same room as me.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds really good. All right, here comes our abbreviated intro. Ready? Everybody ready? Oh, wait, I got to hit record on Cleanfeed.
Oh, no.
All right, so wait, should I choose, should I just choose speech optimized?
Well, let's keep it in the format we're in now, stereo optimized. That's perfect.
Okay.
Music optimized, sorry.
Music optimized, and I can also choose my playback device, which, it's set to my SonarWorks. So I should probably change that just to my MixPre. And then the source
live.
Source devices, you can add different sources. Oh, I heard you talk about that on Alan's show. I'm going to ask you about that later.
Cool.
Okay, but that's good. All right, music optimized, and now we're ready. And so now I just hit record on the top left, right?
So hit record. A new pop-up will show in your interface.
Yes, I see it.
You'll be able to name that recording.
Oh, the top box is for the name?
Top box, that's right. And then you can then define what you want recorded. If it's everyone, it's going to give you one file in stereo with both of us. And if you do separate tracks, it's going to give you on the left track and me and any other guests in the session on the right track.
Right. That's another thing we're going to talk about too. All right, so I'm going to choose separate tracks because I want separate. So basically, I'm going to be on one side, you're going to be on the other.
Yep.
Which would be great because then I can isolate you, my guest, and then I can obviously in post-production have a nice isolated track that I can really, process the way I want it. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're ready here. I'm going to hit record. All right. Now I see, actually it added, so I saw, on the screen I saw Chris Curran, that's me, and I saw Mark, that's you, and now I see another line which says TPES 104 Mark, which is the name, what I named this session.
Cool.
So it looks good?
The new record module. Yep. And you're on your way.
All right, we're going. All right, here we go. Let's check out this abbreviated intro. This is gonna be funny. Feel free to grunt, Mark. All right, welcome to the Podcast Engineering Show. I'm Chris Curran. I produce podcasts. Every week we bring you podcast production techniques on a silver platter. I have a background in audio engineering. And of course, Barry's with me.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I got to turn Barry up. Barry.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, baby. All right, Podcast Engineering School. The next semester starts September 18th. I don't know when this episode's going to come out, but maybe it'll come out after September 18th. But anyway, the next batch after September 18th is going to be January 2019. So there you go. And my guest today is Marc Bakos. He's a partner at Cleanfeed. Hold on. You deserve this. Marc Bakos, everybody. Oh, jeez. He made
Thanks
it.
very much, Chris.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You got to add Barry too. You know what I'm saying? All right. Well, you're a partner at Cleanfeed, but I assume you're more than that. What are you, like the technical guy over there? What are you exactly?
We share a lot of the roles, to be fair. There's quite a lot to be done. So we each have a say in the product.
Okay.
So there's two of us, Mark, myself, and there's another Mark with a K. And we collaborate together to bring everyone this great product that we've created.
Yeah, Cleanfeed. And so do you have a background in audio? I assume some background.
Yeah, my background is in audio engineering, hardcore. I've been to all the studios, Abbey Road, Metropolis. I can't claim any American studios, but my background has been in production and audio engineering. So it's been a good precursor to all of this.
Yeah.
And actually, even prior to that, I still am and still do radio. So it all helps. You understand the terminologies and the way that people actually work, which effectively, I would say, if you're designing a product, is the most important part. I mean, you can create something amazing, but if the user interface is rubbish, well, you're probably not going to get quite far. So, yeah. But yeah, audio engineering is the core of what I do. So, and I thoroughly enjoy it.
Cool. So, and we usually do a speed round here. This episode's a little different, but let's do the speed round. Tell us just your signal chain right now. What mic you're speaking into, what gear, and where's it going, and all that.
Okay, cool. Well, it's a bit awkward, but I have a Neumann TLM49, which is a lovely large condenser capacitor microphone. And that's going into, at the moment, it's going into a Yamaha MG12 mixer, which then gets inserted into a DBX 286S microphone channel strip, which I can bypass right now, in fact, and you can hear how lame my microphone is without it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a pretty awesome microphone processor, to be fair. And then it goes back to the mixer and then back into my Prism Sound Titan sound card and back to you.
Prism Sound Titan sound card. It's in the computer, or is it external?
So it's an external 1U sound card. It's about $3,000 worth of amazing sound to my ears.
Wow, that's cool. I haven't heard of that one, but yeah, if it's a one rack space unit and $3,000, then that's awesome. And it sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. I've got that hooked up to some PMZ speakers, and for listening purposes, it is accurate as hell, is what I can describe it as. Yeah.
Cool. So are you at home?
I'm at home. I'm in a home studio, which is fully padded. I don't know how much of the room you can hear, but it's a acoustically treated room.
And what were your speakers again?
My work. I run PMC TB2 Plus speakers.
PMC TB2 Plus.
Yeah. British speaker.
Okay.
Very accurate. Very MIDI, as in mid-range.
Mid-rangey, yeah. So
Yeah.
You've been in Abbey Road. You've been in some of the studios where all the Beatles and Pink Floyd were.
Yeah. I did 2 recording sessions there for a music library back in the day, and we did some brass and string sections. And yeah, we were in Studio 2 where the Beatles were, and it was amazing. Very, very amazing atmosphere. Great engineers, great monitors, great rooms that had just been recently been redone. And actually outside that studio in particular, they have cupboards. And if you open one of them, or some of them, you'll see all the old Beatles recording gear just right there. It's actually quite insane. They don't hide it or put it into official archive. So if you want to have a look at some of the vintage desks, they'll open a cupboard for you. You can have a look.
Wow.
So it's pretty historical place and quite magical when you go there. So I won't get into the gear cupboards because they're just on another level. Rack units and microphones and all sorts. It's just pretty outstanding. And,
that's cool. I would also want to go open some of those doors where they're keeping the real plate reverbs and stuff, right? I want to see that.
Yeah, and actually, there's a funny story at the back of Studio 2. If you exit through the fire escape, it doesn't quite get you outside yet. If you go right, because there's like a door, then a space, then like another door, which gets you outside. Right. Studio builds, isolation. Yeah. If you turn right, they built an echo chamber, and that's the one they used for Yellow Submarine. So engineers can run cables into those rooms, which are pretty much tiled rooms from floor to ceiling. And the real reverb itself. They do have some plate reverbs. Yeah, they got some plate reverbs up on the ceiling as well. In the eaves.
The plates are actually stored up in the ceiling space. Okay.
Yeah. They can run those reverbs live. I think there's 5 reverb.
Yeah, because there's actually Waves makes a plugin. It's called Abbey Road Reverbs or something, something. And it models the plates. I think there's 3 or 4.
That's right. Yeah, and plus whichever rims. I think there's 2 rims and the plates, so they're pretty awesome. And seeing them in person, where you don't actually expect them to be, is the best feeling. You're like, oh my gosh, wow, it's in here.
Let me ask my friend Barry, who's here with me. Barry, have you ever been to Abbey Road Studios?
Yeah, oh yeah.
And Barry, did you peek your head up into the ceiling to see the actual plates?
Yeah, oh yeah.
He's been everywhere.
He's been everywhere. Barry, you like that studio?
Oh, forget it.
Telling you.
All right. Not good enough for him.
All right. So, yeah, I'm glad to hear that you have an audio or an audio background, a very significant audio background, because that says a lot about, the quality of what you're building and what you're willing to put your name on, right?
Well, exactly. And it's just knowing what sounds great at the end of the day. If people come to us with any queries, and we do like to answer quite a lot of them, we normally give some pretty sound advice, if you pardon the pun. So yeah, we know what sounds great. If there's a glitch or you're using earphones that leak, and that we'll be able to tell pretty fast. So
right.
And I can't forget that Marc's background is also in radio. He started off as a programmer in radio, and actually now he's a large key element in a very big animation company building high-end software. So that's where the software aspect comes into this. That's Marc's realm. So yeah, we have equal-ish sort of radio audio backgrounds, but the day-to-day Cleanfeed antics between us both sort of accumulates in our sessions that we do, and we have the product at the end of the day ever evolving.
Yeah, totally. And I will say the user interface for Cleanfeed is very simple. Like when you go to it, obviously it's a web interface and you use it in Chrome. It's very simple, which I like. There are a few things or changes that I would like to see, or things that I wouldn't be 100% thrilled about, but we'll talk about that. So now, speaking of Chrome and stuff, is it only usable in Chrome, or does it work with Firefox and others?
So Chrome gives us the stability that we need to develop on. It gives us a good benchmark for the software. And that doesn't mean that we have shunned away from other browsers. I don't know how much your listeners know about the platform we're developing on, called WebRTC, but the platform allows us to get ever closer to multi-browser support. So the end goal, effectively, once the standard has been signed off by the web guys at Chrome and Firefox, etc., is to have a product that works on any browser. So you'd have seen, if you'd looked at some of our blog posts and that, we've launched a iOS beta for contributors. So any guests that are on iPhones or iPads, or now even on Safari on Macs, they'll be able to connect into studio sessions. So the reason I say that the standard is ever evolving is, for example, on Safari, we're waiting for Apple to actually catch up with the standard. They're a bit far behind.
Right.
Suppose they're doing things the Apple way and making sure they get it right. So yeah, once all the browsers catch up, Chrome's leading the project, which is hence why we're using Chrome to develop on and give our seal of approval on it. But that's only because the standard's catching up and all the other browsers are slowly getting there. We have tested it on a few others. It gets pretty close. Firefox is pretty good. We haven't officially said it, but it kind of works. But I would recommend Chrome only because if you've got any issues, we'll be able to assist with those, and that helps actually the development progress further.
Yeah. And it, like you said, you're focused on Chrome, you're making it work really well there. And so for podcasters and their guests, I mean, it's easy for a podcaster to tell the guest, hey, you got to connect through Chrome. I mean, most everybody has Chrome, and if you don't, you just download Chrome and install it. It takes like 30 seconds. So it's totally totally fine.
We're finding people with desktops generally have more than one browser. Especially on Windows, you're probably not using Internet Explorer, so it's either going to be Chrome or something else. But then on iOS, if you're a guest, well, Cleanfeed works on Safari, so native browser, so you're all cool. You don't have to. In fact, it doesn't even work with Chrome on iOS. We can get into that in a bit later on. And then on Android, the default browser is Chrome anyway. So, you're pretty much set depending on who your guests are going to be. And they should be able to connect quite comfortably into the sessions.
So wait, even on an Android phone running Chrome, someone can literally join a Cleanfeed session, no problem.
Oh, yeah. No, definitely. We have a lot of reporters that are using Android devices and connecting back to radio stations. And that's one of the ways they're doing it. They're connecting, some of them even connecting external microphones or preamps to those phones. And yeah, they've got a mobile recording rig. It's fantastic.
Oh, that's interesting. That's cool. But you said from an iPhone, let's say, it doesn't work that well.
So from an iPhone on Safari, you can't be the studio on the phone. So that's the only downside to Safari at the moment. It's not fully implemented. But if you're a guest and you wanted to connect, let's say to a politician or a guest that only uses iPhone and that's all they've got and they're on the move, well, send them a link and they just got to tap on it, click allow to allow their microphone, and that's it. You're connected, and it should work pretty well. We've seen some glitches initially, but right now we're calling it beta because there can still be a few glitches with iOS. But yeah, it's working pretty well.
Cool. And what you're calling the studio is the person who's actually initiating the session and running the session with a Cleanfeed account.
That's right. So it would be yourself.
Right. So in this case, it's me,
situation.
And you're my guest or participant. Yeah.
Correct.
So audio quality, we talked about a little bit. We went through, and even on the free version, you can get really nice audio quality. Well, I guess the first question, one of the questions I have is so far you and I have been talking, and I will admit it sounds really good, and I have not heard one glitch or slur or anything. So how do you make it so stable? Because here's the thing, in my experience, I'm producing podcasts every day, and I'm connecting to a lot of guests who are connected via Wi-Fi. And sometimes it's not great Wi-Fi. So whatever we use, even if it's Skype sometimes, people will sort of drop out, or it'll, how it sort of slows it down and then crams it together to catch up.
Yeah.
So how do you avoid all that?
So Cleanfeed is clever in the way that when we do establish the initial connection, so your machine where you are and my machine where I am, Cleanfeed will always try to connect from one machine directly to the other. And that's called a peer-to-peer connection. Unlike Skype, you're not actually connecting to another person's machine, or if you're doing a conference, you're not connecting, all to one person's machine.
Right.
You're actually going via some Skype servers. So when Skype's heavily in use around the world, those servers are rammed. So that's probably why your connection, even though you may have a pretty good internet at home, that's why you've got these really random artifacts when you're having a call.
Right.
So Skype's architecture is completely different to how we're doing it. So our connection, in the first instance, if there's no firewalling, it will connect from myself to yourself directly. And the connection is fully encrypted. So no one can, peer at some packets and see what's going on. It's, I'm connected to you and no one's going to be eavesdropping. Right. And none of the audio that is flowing between you and I is going anywhere else other than between you and I.
Right. It's not being recorded anywhere else. It's not being stored on a server. Nothing.
Nope, nothing. The recording that you're doing at your end is actually saved into the memory for your browser. And as that recording increases in length, it then gets periodically saved back to your disk until you hit the final save button and the whole file gets dumped into your downloads folder. So it's actually really stable in that way. You're not waiting at the end for recordings to upload and then download and synchronize here. And it's a bit messy that way, we think. So having it all live, recorded, hit download, there we go, straight to your it's actually already on your machine. You're effectively downloading a local copy of it.
Right.
And
as I'm hearing it, it's downloading and storing, yes.
Yeah, so it's constantly saving, and then when you hit the final download button, or even periodically, you can hit download. And
right, I heard that on Alan's show. So in the middle of an interview, if I'm getting a little worried that my machine might blow up or something, I can literally click a little download in the middle of an interview.
That's right. So you could do it right now, and all it's going to do is going to take the copy it has and say, right, you've requested me to download this, to save it, and it's just going to download it straight to your downloads folder at that particular time. Let's say 10 minutes down the line, you're like, I should probably make a save, hit save again. We all know what Chrome's like,
Yeah.
So you've got a lot of tabs open.
Yeah.
Could get messy and crash out, or, for whatever reason, people like to, hit Control S, and we've done the same thing. Just hit download, and you've got a new copy of all the audio up until that point. So, yeah, it's a safety precaution. You can obviously save it right at the end, but we always recommend that you do a test and periodically, every 10, 15 minutes or whatever, just hit download, and then you're pretty safe.
Got it. And so at first, when we connect, it'll try a direct peer-to-peer connection. And
correct.
If it can't do that, what happens?
So if it can't do that, so let's say I am behind a firewall and you're not.
Right.
The audio may be able to get to me, but my audio may have to go via a relay server, which is a server in the cloud, and we've deployed many around the world. And what that does is it just proxies the audio out of my computer over to one of those relay servers. So effectively, you can be heavily, or both you as a studio or your guests can be behind some pretty serious firewalling, and the connection will still be established. And all the audio in some cases may be sent via a relay server. Again, we don't see that audio; it's just used as a proxy, effectively, so that the audio can actually be delivered to each other.
Right. So now, if someone is behind a firewall, is there any way for me to know it, or for them to know it? And is there any way to sort of turn off the firewall? And
you may notice it when you do that initial connection. The audio lag may be a couple of seconds, as in sorry, let me make myself clear. The connection itself to establish may be a few seconds.
Got it.
So Cleanfeed's got to try what we've designed it to be the best way to connect to each other. So it's going to try the first, between you and your guest directly. If it doesn't do that, it's going to see, actually, this is not working. I'm going to try a different method. And slowly, the worst case scenario is, right, you're both behind really heavy firewalls. I've given up. You're right. You're going via one of our relay servers. And that's when all audio to and from the guest and the studio will be going via a server in the cloud. So that's how that works pretty much.
Got it. But if it is able to establish that peer-to-peer connection, I assume the lag or the delay is very short, right? It must go right from one to the other, right?
That's right. And obviously, how fast is light kind of thing. It is pretty much how far around the world you are to your guests. At the moment, I'm in London. I'm guessing you're somewhere in the US,
Colorado Springs.
Hooray!
And by the way, when you test your server speed, it'll ping. It'll come up with a ping time, so it's like 11 milliseconds to the local internet service provider, or whatever.
Yes. So obviously, we recommend. So let me go through this. We recommend that if you are doing a serious show, and let's say you're a broadcaster and you're connecting one studio in stereo to another studio halfway around the country, then we recommend, both have cabled connections to your routers, or routers as you call them, and make sure that everyone is properly cabled in. That doesn't mean Wi-Fi doesn't work. You can still use Wi-Fi. It just, in the cases where people are slightly outside of the Wi-Fi range, you can get dropouts or, as you've heard, artifacts that can actually happen on Cleanfeed. But yeah, and then when the connection does establish, it gives you a network round trip. You can actually click on a sort of a log tab, and it allows you to see all the details for the connection that we're in. So it looks like we may be going round one of our relay servers at the moment.
Interesting.
But we've got 143 milliseconds, which, yeah, if you're playing live music to each other, that's probably not going to work.
Yeah.
You're playing the guitar and I'm playing the drums. Probably going to be quite a lot out of time. But 145 milliseconds is really nothing when you're doing speech.
Yeah, it's just a tiny little fraction of a pause. Because that's one thing when you're recording a podcast with someone and there's like a half a second or maybe even 3/4 of a second delay. It's like,
Yeah.
that's why when you ask a question, it's like it's like they're lagging and they don't answer for a half second. Well, it's because they didn't hear you yet, you know?
Well, exactly. It's quite frustrating. And this is why a lot of users are turning to Cleanfeed, because there's no poor connection, although despite the end product being a good quality, it means that what you're recording there and then is you're capturing the moment as it is. So that's really the beauty of having it this way. And the fact that you can record and be in stereo and also play local clips in the Pro version and do a hell of a lot of other things that you may have not thought up yet. And if you've got extra gear, you know, the list is endless, and each has it. Every, you know, situation has its own requirement. And if you can think it up, you can probably do it.
Right. Yeah. All right. So this is cool. So that's how it really doesn't have a lot of drops or distortions or anything. I still haven't heard any sign of any glitch or anything, which is cool. I want to talk to you about ducking, which is something that is a problem with almost every service like this. And while everyone's familiar with it on Skype, if you've ever used Skype and two people try to talk at the same time, Skype will just squash one person. It'll push them down. So they're basically mute them.
Yeah.
And so if you are recording with Skype and recording separate tracks, during playback, one of the voices will just get ducked down and be pushed down and then come back up. And it's like, why does it have to do that? Well, what Skype is trying to do is to avoid feedback. So, which is fine. If someone does not have headphones, then Skype needs to do that, or else there will be feedback. But if someone's wearing headphones, there's no need to do the ducking thing. So does Cleanfeed do the ducking thing?
So because Cleanfeed has no filters on any of the audio, it's basically akin to, you know, I've got a microphone, let's plug that into your mixer. Someone else has got a microphone, let's plug that into a mixer. So it is literally as if everyone has been locally plugged into a mixer. So there is no audio filtering. Everyone can talk at the same time and interrupt each other, and it will sound fine. Everyone can be talking at the same time and it will all sound fine. So yeah, there's no ducking, there's no echo cancellation or any of that stuff, unless, of course, you want to use it. So in our Cleanfeed Pro version, we now allow guests that have poor audio gear, like a laptop with no headphones, for example, you as the studio can say, hold on a second, you sound terrible. Right. We can hear everything coming back because you don't have headphones in. I'm just going to enable echo cancellation. And what that will do is isolate that particular guest to ensure that you don't hear feedback coming back from them. Their quality will slightly reduce, but it's actually still pretty good because we're not using low bit rate, the lowest bit rate codec, which is probably what Skype would do. It means that when they are actually filtered, it still sounds pretty good. It's just a really, really good telephone call in that case. But you do hear the echo cancellation from them, but they'll still hear you in full quality, which is great. But you'll just get them in a slightly reduced audio manner. But it means you can run mixed use cases. You know, you could, if someone connecting to your studio session has a good setup like myself, then great, nothing has to be done. But then if one of your guests are like on a laptop, like I said, with no access to any headphones, then yeah, you can just enable echo cancel on that particular guest, and hey presto, you can still continue your interview or broadcast or whatever you're doing and not have to really worry about it.
Yep, sounds good. So let's try it. Let's both talk at the same time. Ready? Okay, go. All right.
Hey,
so
hey, how you
this
doing?
is Chris.
Cool.
Yes. Am I ducking?
And loads of
is
audio.
It anything ducking?
Wow. Nothing at all. Amazing.
Well, I don't think I heard any ducking. So anyway, listeners can judge.
If you wanted to try it, actually, you could set my audio to be echo cancelled. You can actually hear that live. So if you hit the cog icon next to my channel,
okay,
module.
I actually don't want to do that, but tell me how to tell me how I would do it.
So how you would do it is click the cog icon next to my channel in Cleanfeed.
The gear, the cog,
the gear, and then you should have a audio drop down menu which would allow you to pick left channel, right channel, or
Yeah, stereo.
echo, or echo cancel.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. So you could hit that now, and you would hear me back in the echo cancelled
Got it.
version of myself.
All right. And so you said, I think you answered this, but there's no processing on the audio, right? There's no leveling.
Nope, nothing at all.
If somebody joins and their level is really low because they don't have their mic turned up, it'll send that really low signal, correct?
It will send it's faithful to whatever audio is going in that user's machine. So if I turn down my mic,
there you go. Yep.
Then
you're way down there now. Yep.
Yeah. So, and obviously I'm back to normal level now. But in the event that you want to adjust the level, let's say I'm too loud. Obviously, you would ask your contributor, can you turn up your microphone gain?
Right.
Or can you turn it down? And they should probably do it at their end. If you wanted to tweak it midway during a show, in our pro version, we allow level adjustment again through that cog setting. You can change your level by increments, I think by 1 decibel, I think. Yeah, it goes up by decibel increments, so 0 to 12 or 0 to minus 12.
So if I was connected to you and you were really low and I, through the Cleanfeed Pro version, boosted you 12 dB, where is that 12 dB boost happening? That's happening in my browser.
It's not happening at the studio end. So what we do is through that setting, you're controlling the gain at the guest end. And whilst you're not actually controlling their sound card gain, which is, if a system had access to that, then great. But Chrome doesn't. But the reason we do that is that any volume changes, we don't want to add more pressure to the studio itself. So that setting that you're changing is actually changing at the guest end. So that you're not adding more processing to your Chrome session.
Got it.
So it's actually quite efficient.
Right. And on their end, it's Chrome that's bringing up the level or bringing it down. It's not the actual...
Chrome's got to do the level. Yeah. Chrome's got to do the echo cancellation on their end. So actually, you're not really worrying about your browser overworking. But yeah, we've seen some sessions that have 5, 6, 7 guests, and there's no major issues really. It just works.
Got it. All right, so let's get into the next phase here. So no local recording for participants. Obviously, this is something I love with these other services because if someone's on a horrendous internet connection and they do drop or glitch or there's little things that, in the end, you get a local copy. Have you ever had problems like that where there have been participants who just have such a crappy connection that there does end up being glitching and stuff?
In some cases, yes. In a lot of cases, they're able to stabilize their connection.
Okay.
But because the audio is coming through to the studio and recording locally at the studio end, is there really going to be an issue? Potentially. I guess if the connection is that bad, you probably wouldn't be able to do the interview anyway. So,
right.
Yeah. It's difficult to say, but we think, if you're not able to even speak down the line and it is really that bad, well, what really... is there any benefit to having that local copy?
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
There could be, but yeah.
There could be, but I guess I can see where you're sort of going with the question. But I think, try and stabilize or try and connect everyone initially. And then, if someone is on a poor connection, well, try and correct it first. And then your session is good to go, really. You shouldn't have any issues down the line.
Okay, the other thing is that all the remote guests, so I am the studio, and let's say I have on 3 guests, A, B, and C.
Yeah.
The final recording that's going to be recorded in my Chrome, and I'm going to be able to, it's recording locally on my machine, is going to be me on, let's say, the left side of a stereo file, and on the right side, it's going to be guests A, B, and C combined on one track.
That's right. So at the moment, we're still exploring the potential of having each guest on their own separate track.
Okay.
Which is in development. But
does Chrome support like the because I forget, was it a multi-channel WAV file? It's like a WAV file that can have 5 or 6 different tracks in it instead of just 2.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's something that you can distribute around. There are multi-channel WAV files that can be created, multi-polyphonic files, and they're used in more specific cases where audio engineers in the movie world want to send 7.1 surround sound mixes around, they would just send one WAV file, and the guy at the other end might be like, "Hey, you just sent one file? I thought we were doing like 7.1." Well, actually, all the tracks are all saved in that one file, so you got 8 mono files, all running to time. So that's where that comes from. But no, yeah, this is a single WAV file, stereo file, so that when you do download it, it is the studio side on the left channel and your guests on the right channel. So yeah, I think that the complication with polyphonic files down the line for guys that just want to actually do multi-channel recordings might be a bit too complex. So we have to go back to the drawing board and really see what's going to be the best and easiest way of delivering those true multi-channel files
I see.
to the end users.
See, you just gave me an idea. I should record this podcast show in 7.1 surround sound. And I could have Barry, like on the back semi-left speaker, you could hear.
There's no activity, no giggle, no nothing.
Yeah. I mean, you could just, all right, that'd be so funny. I should
cool.
like do a press release. I'm going to change my show over to 7.1 surrounded to see what people
now
say.
available.
Stupid.
With reverb.
Yeah, I want reverb. I want nature sounds. Come on, I want everything. I want atomic bombs.
That would be good.
All right, that's an atomic bomb, but it wasn't loud enough. It should be really loud. Anyway,
yeah.
I want to ask you what, because I'm sure you're dealing with a lot of people who are using Cleanfeed, and you're sort of having to recommend best practices. So what can participants do to make sure their audio comes through clear and uninterrupted?
So we've designed the meter that you're seeing on your screen, which is next to the little icon. And that meter is actually a broadcast meter called a peak program meter. And what that does is give each contributor, as well as the studio, confidence that what is coming through is an accurate or broadcast-ready level. So I don't know if you're too familiar with PPM meters. They are not linear. So, even if I am half the volumes, which I'll do, so I'm quiet, but you'll still see a signal, which is still broadcast appropriate.
Got it.
And as I get louder, the meter hits a yellow area, which is pretty much a sweet spot for recording. And then right at the other end, if I speak really loudly and start to distort,
right,
well, that's where the red level part of the meter comes in. So yeah, we recommend sort of a good level, so a good signal to noise ratio, so you're not having to boost everyone's levels right at the end, because that's really annoying. You want a good level because it's podcasting and digital broadcasting. You want to get that level loudish with a bit of headroom at the top, and that's what the meters confidently show. So you can have an accurate, clean level just by making sure that meter is high in the green and maybe sort of hitting the yellow area at the top.
Got it. And so as far as like recommendations for a guest with regards to their own computer, let's say, what would you suggest there?
So we would suggest always to use headphones that are closed-backed. So although I'm not really using closed-back headphones at the moment, I'm not really, don't have them too loud. But you don't want to have any feedback coming through any speakers or headphones that have, open-backed with their volume cranked up too loud. So there's that. Or obviously we recommend good microphones. You can use USB microphones. You can use analog microphones. You can pretty much use anything you want. I mean, anyone in the session will be able to hear exactly how that sounds. So again, you're not second guessing because you're hearing it live as it is,
right,
in full quality. The studio can actually be like, oh, hold on a second, you sound like you've got a weird filter on, like, I don't know, like this mid-range is too loud. Like, what is that? Can you turn that down? So yeah, that sounds right.
That was a lot of low end, actually.
Oh, right.
That was awesome.
So yeah, so you can hear and make accurate decisions and adjustments before you even start. So it's almost as if you're setting up a live broadcast or you're doing a live music event. You can make sure that all of your audio coming into the studio sounds great from everyone's end. And, if someone needs to move their microphone closer to their mouth, or, someone needs to turn down their microphone, well, you can hear that all live and make those decisions on the fly. So, but yeah, good quality microphone, good quality headphones. And again, anything on top of that is an absolute bonus. So if anyone wants to play music from their side and you're in a stereo session, well, you can do that and you can hear that live. So if someone wants to play sound effects from a remote end, they can go for that and then trigger those on the fly. So the possibilities really, if you've got the audio gear and you really want to extend your setup, you can do that, especially for those podcasts where there's a main host and a co-host, or there's just two co-hosts that equally have the same sort of similar part to play. They can each have a decent setup at each end and both contribute equally to their recording or broadcast or podcast or whatever they want to do, really. Possibilities are endless.
Got it. All right, now I want to get into something regarding the cart wall. So there's a cart wall, and cart is C-A-R-T, and that's a throwback to radio when they used to play sound effects and like music beds with a cart machine, play little carts. It's almost like the digital equivalent would be like a soundboard where you just, like I do with Barry, you just click a square on the soundboard and Barry's clip plays, right?
Yes,
so that's the cart wall. So you can actually, in Cleanfeed, you can load in a bunch of audio, like whether it's your theme song or your commercials, or right?
Yeah, exactly. So this is a feature of Cleanfeed Pro. So we allow any amount of clips to be loaded up into that cart wall area, which drops down when you click cart wall. You get a row of square icons. And when you click on one, you'll be asked to locate your audio and load it up. And hey presto, once it's in the browser, you can hit play, and that's going to play live in the session and also be recorded. So that's a pretty cool feature. So if you do want to have your show intro and some sponsor messages and an outro or some music themes, you can dump them all on there and play them live, and everyone can actually hear them through the session, which is pretty cool.
Cool. So the cart wall, and as I heard on Alan's show, by the way, Alan's show, Alan Tepper's show is called Beyond Podcasting. So if you haven't checked that out, you might want to. Alan, he presents a bunch of good stuff. He's a friend of this show. So, hey, Alan, on his show, I heard you talking about that there's no volume control for the carts. So if there is a cart that's a little too loud, you can't really turn it down. Basically, what you have to do is, before you load it in, get it at the right level you want it, and then put it into the cart in Cleanfeed. Yeah,
that's right. We are going to explore having some volume on that cart wall, but to make that easy for the user, that's the biggest challenge. So we just don't want to have sliders and rubbish clogging up your screen. So we need to have a good way of doing that. But yeah, to battle that, we would recommend that your carts are slightly lower in volume. You wouldn't really have something that's extremely loud, but it just allows you to then tweak that in post and bring that up if you wanted to. Right. I mean, if your show intro is a good level and you're comfortable with it, well, it's going to sound great on the recording. So yeah, tweak the carts before they go in, and then once they're all loaded up, you're ready to go, really.
Cool. So now a really important question. So we got, let's say just for me and you on this session, we got my voice, which I can see in Cleanfeed is recording on the left, and we got your voice, which is recording on the right channel.
Yeah.
So now we have the ability to play a cart, to play some music through a cart. Yes. And we have this idea that what happens if I, on my end, like what happens when I play my intro music? This is stereo on my end. So where does my intro? Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Are you playing that through the cart wall at the moment, or?
No, I'm actually playing that through an iPad, which is running through my interface and coming through my track.
So the clips, when they get recorded at the moment, I believe if they are from the studio, they'll still be on that left channel. So that is a caveat to the clips.
Oh, you know
recorded.
What? Let me try that. Let me play this real quick and see where it lands.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's only on the left side. So
on the left channel.
So
if you were recording the session with everyone, so that's just going to record the session in stereo with everyone on one stereo track,
Right.
then that clip will be obviously in stereo. But yeah, if you're using separate tracks at the moment, that is going to limit that audio, if it is stereo, to be mono on that left channel.
Oh, I see. So when I pressed record on this session, I chose to record separate tracks, you and me separately.
Correct. So if you did everyone, which would make it... See, if you're doing a live podcast or broadcast and you do hit record and your triggers are pretty on point and you don't really have to do that much editing, well, then when you do play that stereo clip, great, it's ready for production.
Got it.
We assume that if you're doing separate tracks anyway, you're probably going to edit the whole session anyway. So if you do play a clip, you know where you've triggered it, so you can then just drop them all in post-production. And at least you've got the cue points of where they all began. So
right.
That's why it doesn't obviously take that clip and put it over both tracks for the time being.
Got it.
But it's there almost like a time reference for when that clip started.
Yeah, and so I do exactly what you just said. The only thing is so for my track on Cleanfeed right now, it's recording me on the left and my music clips on the left. But I am locally recording my microphone separately. I am locally recording my iPad separately in stereo. So like you said, actually my track on Cleanfeed that it's recording right now, I'm not going to use it. It's going to be my guide track, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. It's just going to be your reference of when you triggered that off. So
now for you, though, your track in Cleanfeed, that is going to be your actual track.
Correct, yes.
So if you were to play stereo music right now, it would get folded down to mono, and then that's the only thing I would be able to use.
That's right. So, but like I said, if you're doing a stereo session and it is live and you want to use those carts in a live environment or use my audio in a live environment, then you can actually... So we don't really recommend doing this because it gets a bit tricky in post-production, but you can actually trigger one recording to be separate tracks so that at the end, if you ever did want to do particular comping or editing of audio, you can still do that. But you can also then fire off another record session and record everyone. So actually, you can run 2 record modules at the same time in Cleanfeed.
Really?
And right at the end, you can have a proper stereo track of the whole session, plus a separate track or any other option that is in the recording sort of trigger. So you can run many record modules. The only caveat is that right at the end you have to synchronize those all together. So if you're pretty good with audio, you can do that quite easily. But anyone sort of starting out, we'd recommend start with one recording module.
Got it.
See how you get on, and as you get more confident and you can find your way around a digital audio workstation or DAW, so you'll be able to then sync them up.
Right. So wait a second. Now I'm just getting this now, that you can literally open up 2 or more recording modules in this session.
That's right.
And like you said, have 2 different choices, have each one set up differently. Is there a way to, for instance, we're recording right now with me on the left, you on the right. Could we open another recording module, and is it possible to tell that recording module not to record Chris, only record Mark in stereo?
Not in stereo.
I know, a tricky question.
That is a tricky question. I've never tried it. I suppose if you did other guests,
we might have to do
only.
some testing on this.
You may have to, we could do a test. I'm pretty sure that if your session is in stereo, then that track at the end will be in stereo. So I suppose it would be. It would be myself and my stereo content being recorded just on that one file. So
So in that case, then, if I had, let's say, me and 3 participants, could I open 4 recorders and just have the first one record me in stereo, the second one record the second guy?
No, because there's no way of identifying which recorder records what person. And so that would be, again, like I said, if you're doing 4 of them and then right at the end having to synchronize them all together, that may be very complicated. So that's why we've not done that at this stage. because we can see a lot of users potentially pulling their hair out.
I see.
To try and sync them all up. So, and we haven't tested it. So that's why I don't really recommend using 2 record modules. But if you wanted to, and you are comfortable with doing that synchronization at the end, although it's not bad, it will all be in time.
Yeah, it'll be really close.
Yeah. So as long as you get your start point or a reference, or if you've got like a tone generator and you want to hit off a blip
or clap,
you can
or something.
do that.
Yeah,
a clapper. Yeah, you can do that, and then just synchronize those at the beginning, and the rest of the files, in theory, should be in sync. So yeah, you could do a master record of the whole session in stereo if you're in a stereo session, and then have separate tracks. So you on the studio on the left side and your guests on the right side, so that when you do edit, you can be pretty precise.
Interesting. All right. Well, I think you're primed to add a little bit of functionality right there, so that I could do what I really want to do, which is open 4 recording modules on the screen and record each participant separately.
Yeah. So that's where we're sort of working in the background to evolve that. So multi-track is a possibility.
Yeah.
The trick, the hardest bit is getting all of those tracks to start at the same, or record at the same time, and make sure they're always in sync. So that's the challenge. And
right,
using Chrome, it's not Pro Tools, it's not Logic. So we're gonna have to find some ways to make sure that's going to be the easiest way, but the most effective way of delivering that.
Right. Okay. So what I wanted to add on this part of the conversation is when I play a cart off the cart wall, let's say it's a stereo cart, as we've been talking about right now, you and I are recording with me on the left, you on the right. So if I play a stereo cart, where is that going to be recorded?
So that's going to be recorded on your channel.
Got it.
Only. Yeah. And again, if I played something that's in stereo and we were recording in separate tracks,
right,
my content is going to be summed to the right channel in mono. Yeah.
Okay, which makes sense. So basically, if you're just going to record a conversation with 2 people talking, then you can record person A on the left, person B on the right. That's fine.
Yeah.
But if you are going to do, because I sort of do my podcast like this, do it as if it's live, and then you can just record everything in stereo.
Everyone. It's got to record the whole session in stereo. Yeah, exactly.
Right. So then music would be true stereo, and each voice would be straight up the middle.
Exactly. Unless one person decided to pan themselves to the left.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So
that's true.
So you as you're hearing, that whole session is exactly as it's going to be recorded.
Oh,
with everyone.
And when you play stereo music, it'll be true stereo.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Pretty cool. So this is I'm assuming a lot of people must use Cleanfeed for live stuff, right? What about, and even for because the whole live streaming thing with Twitch and YouTube Live and Facebook Live, Cleanfeed seems pretty like a really good solution for the audio for that kind of thing.
Exactly. In fact, a lot of people, they don't even use the record functionality. It's literally just to connect up 2 studios together. I mean, we have a lot of guys that are running radio shows, and they're like, oh my gosh, our second host is stuck. There's been snow. Hold on a second. They've got a good studio at home. Hey, let's use Cleanfeed. And hey, presto, you've got them back in the studio. And no one's none the wiser about how that's been done. So yeah, that's how a lot of users are actually using it. Is they're running a radio show, they're running something live, they're recording an interview, or out in the field, at a sports event. They're just doing that live, and that's just going straight back to the studio. So in the traditional broadcast environments, that stuff can be pretty hard and difficult to set up with loads of hardware and special software. And that's really, from the beginning, was the driving point behind Cleanfeed, was to make that whole process really easy and really quick to set up and go, because we were just tired of seeing ISDN, which is the traditional broadcast technical standard to send audio in high quality live. We just wanted to make sure that that was mitigated. We just didn't like it.
Right.
If you've ever used ISDN, or if anyone listening has ever used it, it's an old telephony standard. Some old broadband lines used to run on it, and it used to be a very standard connection. So if you had one channel ISDN, you'd have 64K. If you had two channel, you had 128K. And the codecs at each end, if you were using ISDN for voice or audio, they would be these, $2,000 or $3,000 IP codecs that would then allow you to connect to studios around the world. So a lot of guys still use it. You have people like, film houses like Disney and Fox or whatever, they've got a voiceover in Japan, let's just use ISDN, because a lot of studios still use it, or at least are still using it until something else, Cleanfeed, replaces it. So yeah, it's been used, and radio have historically had the funds to run it. It's very expensive. If you've got an ISDN line, I don't know what it's like in America. I think it changes from state to state.
It's
Here
expensive.
in the UK, it's really expensive. So finding someone that actually has it, or if you're starting off as a voiceover, or you're starting off as a broadcaster, and you want to connect to a studio, well, Cleanfeed's just going to make that really easy. And if you're running the free version, well, the audio sounds pretty good. You don't need to record. You don't need anything special to begin with. So just sign up and go. That's pretty much the whole ethos behind what we created, is just making it, high quality audio available to everyone.
Right. Which I love it. So everyone listening, go try Cleanfeed. And I have one more question for you, but before that, I wanted to see how I tease that, Mark. You see that? I'm just making sure people don't tune out right now.
Yeah.
So what are the next features you're working on for Cleanfeed?
So, like I mentioned, things like multi-tracking, we're sort of, well, not scratching our heads, but we're finding ways to make that possibility. We have a few more other features that I don't want to give away at this stage.
Okay.
But they'll help with workflow. They'll help with the overall stability of the product. In fact, a lot of our work has really gone into the stability of the product. There's a load of other solutions which we've been, shedding a little eyeball on to see how they're getting on. And there's been some complaints, and we wanted to make sure that anyone that did decide to use Cleanfeed actually had a good experience. It's glitch free, it was stable, you'd be able to use it again and again. That's really been the driving force. And obviously allowing Cleanfeed to work from pretty much anywhere. Like I said, if you're behind a heavy firewall, well, great, it's going to work. So yeah, that's been the main driving force, and slowly we're going to be announcing more and more features over the coming months to make the experience even better.
Cool. All right, here's what I wanted to ask you: multiple input devices.
Yes, so this is a pro feature.
Yes.
So let's say, like me, you have a very expensive sound card. I've got 8 mono inputs that I can pick from, which is 4 stereo inputs if you're good at maths.
Right. And by the way, sound card, what you're referring to as sound card is audio interface.
Audio interface.
What we would call
correctly.
it. Yep.
Yeah.
Same deal.
So there's loads of companies. You don't have to have a very expensive one like mine. If you're an audiophile or just love music, well, I would recommend it. But yeah, so if you've got multiple input devices, or let's say you have multiple audio interfaces, you can actually add them as individual channels in Cleanfeed. So let's say you're in a room and you have physical guests around a table, and you didn't have a mixer, you just had a multiple input sound card or audio device. You can plug everyone in, and in Cleanfeed, you could just add each separate guest as a separate channel, so that when it comes to doing the show, you can see everyone in your session on their own channel.
So technically, so I'm using a Mix Pre 6 as my audio interface, and I have my mic going into input number 1. I have my iPad going into 3 and 4.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so you're telling me what I could do is in Cleanfeed, I could basically, go ahead.
If you hit add a new source, you can then, it will show up muted. You can then use the drop down menu inside the cog icon setting to then pick inputs 3 and 4, hit unmute, and there you go. That inputs, those inputs are going to be live in the session, so that you can use that live without a mixer on your machine.
Right. So the benefit of that would be that my own voice would be its own input in Cleanfeed, let's say, and my iPad would be its own input. So I could actually tweak up the volume of one or put the other one down a bit or do whatever I wanted to live.
Yeah, exactly. And it's and the whole, in fact, the whole benefit of doing this is that if you just had a multi-input sound device, you could travel around with that and not have to worry about having a mixer. So yeah, if you've just got an iPad and a microphone, well, just plug them in, and in Cleanfeed you can just add them in as 2 separate devices.
Right. That's interesting. Does that also work on PC?
Yes. Yeah, it works on PC. Yeah,
I know it's probably a lot trickier, but that's good to know that it works.
Yeah, it's pretty good actually. I'm on a PC at the moment, so yeah, it's they all get presented. Again, every device will be presented that's available on your machine. So if you've got any virtual sound cards, or if you've got any webcam microphones, God forbid, they'll all show up in that menu. So yeah, you could add as many, if you've got different sound devices on your machine, go ahead and add them into the session and you'll be able to use them. So like I said, the sessions can be as complicated or as simple as you want them to be. It just depends on what your aim is.
Yeah, so right now I'm actually using Audio Hijack to record the different things locally, but I'm using Loopback. So I've created a virtual instrument I call it to Chrome, meaning it's all the audio that I'm going to send to Chrome. And so in Cleanfeed, for my input, I chose the virtual instrument to Chrome. So now when I play stuff on the iPad or when I talk, it's all going to that one track in Cleanfeed. But like you just said, you could do it without Loopback and without the virtual instrument. You could just take it right off of the audio interface.
Yeah, straight from the sound card. Yeah, exactly. And obviously with both of these features being part of Pro, it allows you to eliminate any extra software, any extra hardware. You literally just plug in, set up, and go, and that's it.
So how much is the Pro cost?
So let's begin with the Americas. In dollars, it's $34 a month. So if you're used to ISDN costs and other costs in this realm, it's pretty good price. That's for commercial use. If you're a hobbyist or you're just using this for like a personal project or something small that's not really earning you much, then we give a discount, which goes down to $22 a month. And yeah, in the UK, the prices are pretty much similar to the US, £25 a month commercial price and £15 a month for personal use. So they're priced generously with regards to where users are basically coming from.
Right.
Previous environments.
So would an individual podcaster, would they be considered a hobbyist? Could they just get it for the hobbyist? Or
if you're starting off and you're not really earning much from it and you just want to get started, I mean, it's a trust game. We're really relying on users to say, well, actually, I'm making a profit from this product, from what I'm doing.
Right.
Actually, I'm a commercial user, really. So you'd pick that price point to go from.
That's fair. And I think by and large, it'll work out. I mean, you probably always have a few people who are going to,
they may
take advantage.
The cheaper. Exactly. I mean, in theory, so we would recommend, so if you're choosing the personal plan, which is the discounted version, it's more for people that are, again, individuals, people that are in education, charitable use, etc.
Right.
So be true to yourself, really. At the end of the day, we don't know what you're doing. As much as we'd like to eavesdrop on conversations, we don't do that. So so just be honest, I guess.
Yeah. And certainly if you're a podcast producer like I am, I mean, $34 per month is fine for a great product. I mean, that's the cost of doing business and doing it right. I mean, it's really not
exactly
that much.
Yeah, 100%. So that's where they're priced, and who knows, later down the line we may have separate offerings or different offerings, or who knows. The landscape is always changing, but this is where we feel the market is right for at the moment. And again, like I said, people that are coming from hardware, expensive ISDN costs that sometimes cost hundreds of, in some cases, thousands of dollars a month. This is a no-brainer.
Yeah. Yep. Totally. All right, Mark from Cleanfeed. This has been a great conversation, man. Thanks for coming on the show.
No worries, Chris. And yeah, for anyone that wants to give it a go, cleanfeed.net, hit get started and have fun.
That's right. Have some fun. Come on, like we do on this show. Anyway, one last thing, Mark, is you got to stay on to the end, about 20 more seconds, and we're going to yell. Sound great. Okay?
Perfect.
You have to yell.
Okay.
All right. So everyone, check out the Podcast Engineering School, the semester coming up. Email me with any questions. Thank you for listening. Mark from Cleanfeed. Awesome. And here we go, Mark. Let's do it. Go. Sound great. Oh my. All right. Now I'm going to hit stop.
So yeah, hit download. That's going to download that file.
I hit stop. It says paused.
Oh, okay. So on the right hand, so if you unpause it on the left hand side that you've hit that.
Oh, now it's recording again.
Yeah. So and then on the right hand side, there's a little download button. Yeah. Hit that.
Okay, got it.
That's going to download that file. So you should see it in Chrome downloaded.
Yeah. Yep. And I'm picking my folder. So you don't actually have to hit stop on the recorder.
Well, you can actually. I guess we should have gone through it.
Well, we're still on. We can.
Well, we're still on. Okay, cool. If you want to throw this in, yeah. If you want to pause the recording for whatever reason, you got a phone call, then yeah, you can hit pause. Well, stop or pause. It is actually pause, and that will pause the recording, and you can just hit go again, and that will just continue it. If you use that left hand icon.
Got it. Yeah. So the record button, if you click it, it'll pause it. Then so you could basically pause it and then start it again, pause it, and do all that.
Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, once you're ready and you're done, hit the download button on the right. In your case, you're selecting where that download goes.
Right. Once
you've downloaded it and you're happy that that file is correct, so I'd recommend making sure it maybe works. I'm sure it's fine.
Okay.
And then once that's done, you'll actually see that there's a stop button on the right-hand side that appears. That then allows you to completely close the channel, the recording module.
I see.
To make sure that you're safely downloaded and ready to close that. So it's just a safety precaution. And actually, if you download something and just leave it, that stop button will actually grey out again because, we don't want users accidentally hitting that stop button if they're still continuing the recording. So, and plus, if you do hit stop, you have to press and hold it to make sure that it goes away. So it's like a 3-second hold and it will just disappear.
Oh, you mean when you exit out?
Yeah, if you want to entirely eliminate that recording module, you hit download,
right?
Download the file, and then press and hold that stop button, and that module will disappear.
Oh, press and hold. All right, so let me try that because I actually did. Oh, I opened up the file we just recorded in RX6, and it looks fine. It's an hour and 5 minutes.
Cool.
So now I'm gonna hit stop. The same button that I hit for pause.
No, sorry. So you're on the right-hand side. There's the download
X
button.
Yeah,
and then.
Oh, but I gotta hold it for 3 seconds. All right, I'm holding.
If it is white.
It's not.
Okay, so download again. It's going to download that file again, and then once it's downloaded, you'll have a time frame in order to then close that channel.
Oh, I see. So I can pause it first, then I download it, and then I hit save, and then it saves it to my machine.
Yeah.
And okay, boom, saved. Yeah, now it's white. Yeah.
Yeah, and then press and hold that. That's going to then disappear.
All right. Yep. I just clicked it once, and I did there's on the bottom of the screen, it says, press and hold to remove this recording. Remember to download first. Okay, terrific. Yeah. All right, so I'm pressing and holding, and that went away quick.
Cool.
That wasn't 3 seconds. That was like,
okay.
Like 1 second. But we got it.
It's just a safety precaution, just in case you've got like a touch screen and you're like, oh my gosh, just tap that.
Yeah, no.
So it doesn't go away.
I love that.
Yeah.
But that happens sometimes. I've done that with one time I did it with a session where I was recording and I actually closed the Chrome tab that the recording was happening.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah, wow. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of like end game.
And I tried to open it real quick and it was like, nope, sorry.
Yeah. Please restart.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. So just some random questions. like your audio engineering school, that sounds pretty cool. Is that like in person that people join up? Or
No, it's online. So it's I actually facilitate the classes live. So we do it through Zoom. So it's a live webinar with me live, and there's 7 classes. There's 2 mentorship sessions for each student, one before and one after, and there's a Slack group and all that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's just techniques of recording and
it's for podcast engineering. So it's first of all, we start from zero. We start from what is audio, because I really, one thing about people who are calling themselves podcast editors, a lot of them, they don't know anything about audio. Like literally, they don't know anything. So like part of podcast engineering school is teaching people what the heck is audio and what are you doing when you're trying to manipulate it. So we really cover the basics, but then we do get into signal flow, and then recording guests and how to troubleshoot things and just every area of production. And, because I came from music, I like to record everything on separate tracks. I like to mix everything like it's a song and edit really well. And so I really take them through it's really deep stuff. It's not for the average
just the
podcaster.
surface stuff. Yeah. Okay, no, that's awesome. Yeah, because a lot of podcasts that you hear are like done in a bathroom. You're like, really, guys? Really? Like, come on.
Walk away from me, well, and you can't play that part so well. Why do you play it out on me now? You like to lose control, well, it's quite a feeling, isn't it? They're floating, drifting down now. You tell me that you found something better. How should I respond to that? It's a lie. I don't wanna hear it. What do you want me to say? It's a lie. I don't wanna hear it. You react some empathy. You change your attitude where you say I just don't get it now. You say your eyes so far away now. Gave up on me, well, so change your game and give away. You say I wouldn't understand now. You tell me that you found something better. How should I respond to that? Oh yeah, I say now, it's a lie. I don't wanna hear it. What do you want me to say? It's a lie. I don't wanna hear it. You react so angry. I want you to know you will ever always be true. I've gone over all we've been through. Doesn't seem that long a time now. Things we did still hold that meaning. And does it mean it's still the same? You're pushing me away. You work your theories now, where you're getting worked up on you now. You work your way up.